1C. Before my light is completely gone for filming today. So this is about epimesial grooves, also known as send lines in Thai stuff. So if you go, take your thumb, and this should build off of the last thing that we did. You make sure that I'm in frame. And you go crosswise. So if the tissue is running this way, I'm rubbing crosswise with my thumb, or with my fingers. You could do either. I prefer the thumb for this, and you'll see why soon. You'll find that you kind of have ravines on either side, right? You dig in a little bit, you find the channels on either side of every piece of muscle, every piece of connective tissue. Okay, so those channels are what I want you to play with. There's basically an innumerable number of them in your body. You can find them everywhere. Sometimes they're bigger than others. And sometimes if you're working on a larger muscle like the calf, you won't find the other end just with that simplicity of movement, but you will find, oh, okay, there's the edge on the other side. Right, there's an edge, right? And I'm always crosswise to the direction to find those. Now you can walk up and down, kind of finding both sides, tracing it as far as you can. If you need to, you might put a little more pressure down and just feel each side of the ravine. Okay, once you've found them, okay, I have a couple things that you can play with here. One is taking a washcloth, balling it up, putting it in a glass bowl with a little bit of water. You can use some herbs. Ginger is amazing. I don't know if anybody that's allergic to ginger, but things that you're not allergic to, obviously. Doing a couple steamed herbs, moistening it, wrapping in a towel or a washcloth, and putting in the microwave for a little bit is kind of the bastard version of doing it. If you wanted to in a steam basket, that would probably be more culturally appropriate. But do whatever you need to heat stuff up. And then, since it'll be freaking hot, be careful, wrap it in as many layers of other washcloths as you need so that you don't burn the shit out of yourself, and just use that same pressure. So you've got a balled up washcloth here, use that same pressure on wherever point you're doing. The moist heat, and depending on what herbs you use, you can look stuff up online, I'm not going to teach you about that, will help open up and penetrate deep down. It's a lot more relaxing than a dry heat. Okay, so rewind this, watch it again, and go make yourself some herb packs. But even without that, right, we're gonna find these lines. There's a couple of main ones that we may work. A couple on the inside, maybe like 3 on the inside of the leg, 3 on the outside of the leg. But you can find these grooves anywhere that you want, connecting as far up the body as you can figure out. Okay. A couple of things that may be connected. If somebody has a lot of different joint issues, then especially if it's like cross body, like knee and ankle on this side and shoulder on the other side, I would ask them about their gut health, if they have anything going on in their gut, because those lines connect through the gut. If somebody has like a bunch of heel pain or foot issues, hip stuff, can also might be associated with their eye health. This is all Thai medicine ideas, basic ideas that you could explore more. I'll include a couple of books if you're ever interested in looking this stuff up. And if I have somebody that has a lot of back problems, headaches, neck issues, or sciatica, I may ask them about if they have any allergies or nose problems. Those things are connected through these lines in Thai medicine. a lot of different things. I might as well cover the rest. So throat is also connected to, depending on who you ask, can be connected to sexual organ health. Tongue, mouth is that same line, and also like through the heart here. And other one for the ears, if you have hearing issues, you may have neck issues, you may have chest issues, and maybe even down through the arms and through the fingers. I forget which finger exactly. So there's your crash course in the way some parts of the body are intertwined according to Thai medicine. Coming back to our epimesial grooves, you're looking for places where these lines may be stopped up, and you're looking for patterns that maybe you draw. Maybe you have a drawing of yourself or a body, and you just kind of make little notes on it. And once we draw a pattern, you can see interesting, these things are going on at the same time. So even if you're loath to say that they are connected, they are connected because they're going on at the same time and they're in your body, so they're connected whether or not you think of it as a cause and effect relationship. They happen to be going on at the same time. Okay, so you might as well kind of work them out. So playing with our stuff that we did yesterday, crosswise, you could do, the rubbing happens crosswise. I just realized that I have my thumb facing the same direction as the tissue, and I'm just rubbing crosswise to find those grooves. And then you're gonna use that sinking sensation to walk yourself up. And you're just lightly dragging or picking up entirely and finding the track again. If you lose it, you can go back to rubbing and just following it up. Obviously I'm on different muscles by now, but it's kind of a connected line, or it's close enough to a connected line. Go all the way up here, and I'm using my rocking motion and following a different line back down. Now you may find, and I'd like you to pay hyper attention to this, so as you're focusing, and maybe you do this with the sound off or turn this off and work a couple extra minutes, hyper focusing on the way your thumb sinks in. And if things feel stuck or blank, or words that I've used with clients, like, you feel how this feels like blank space, right? It'll feel different from the other pieces. Now there's a couple ways you may attack that. You may try to unstick it by pressing just outside of it. You may try to unstick by pressing in the spot and holding. You may press on both sides if you have both thumbs available. Right, kind of surrounding it, seeing how far off of an icky spot, a painful spot, or a blank spot, as far off as you need to be able to feel stuff again, and then build off of that range. That's kind of a universal principle I use in just about everything, is like, if I can't feel a thing or a thing doesn't feel good, back off until I find a place that it does feel good, or it feels okay at least, and I have good positive sensation, and then we build on the good positive sensation, as opposed to trying to man through it. The other thing that will make you a friend to all and yourself is not forcing it. If I lean in, which is the advantage of the leaning, your thumb's only going to sink so far. This goes for the palm press as well, right? The snow leopard rocking horse. And if you feel the tissues start to fight you, like it's not sinking back down, 98% of the time, rather than I'm going to try to push through, I'll just let it be. Okay, so that's what you want. Without using an inordinate amount of pressure, I lean in, that's as far as I can go, and then I can hang out there. If you feel the tissue resisting you, or pushing you back out, or hardening under your touch, right, you back out, and then maybe I go softer, or I just lighten up where I am, and I can very lightly, you can get a huge amount of impact by just very lightly tracing these lines. And again, it's just, the thumb is the end of a movement that is starting from my belly, connecting those things. And I can walk up and down just very softly, or I can let it sink a little deeper, put a little more force into it, but respecting if it doesn't feel like it can sink, right? Letting the tissue decide what it trusts and what it can open up. And if you walk up and down a line 4 or 5 times, you should feel a difference. The other thing that I often coach people to do, if I find a stuck area, and I'm doing my working, I'm doing all the different methods, I can play around with whatever feels right, and maybe you're coming up with new stuff, right? Doing a little bit of distal movement. So I can say, play with, I'm hanging out here, just play with the end, maybe rub the fingertips together, and it almost feels like you're carrying the energy all the way through. If I'm working on the leg, say move the ankle or move the foot, and kind of see if it feels like it gets to expend the energy, almost like you go out, out, out. Okay? See, any other points that I wanted to make sure I made for this. So we have how to make a wrap, we have following the lines, still using the principles we learned in 1A and 1B, right? Cycling all this stuff through, hanging out, making sure your pressure is being determined by the invitation from the body as opposed to what you feel like you'd like to do. And that's kind of an interesting concept too, because you may even feel pain, but the tissue doesn't respond in a way that it pushes you back out. I would trust the tissue probably more than I would trust the pain sensation, but it's up to you. If you have questions, you can ask me. Okay, and I'm pretty sure there was something else I wanted to talk about, and I'm losing it right now, so we're gonna leave it at that. Or I'm gonna add on to the rest of the end of this video. Again, if you have questions, let me know. This is the end of the ones and the technique options. As always, check in. Maybe you finish with a little closing. Open palm. Oh, yes. I remember what I was going to do. Another thing you can play with here, I want you to do, so this is a little bonus I'm adding on to the end of here, is pressing and then looking at your skin slack. So I'm not sliding over the tissue now, which would be like your foam rolling and things that are kind of sliding over the tissue. I'm taking the tissue with me. So if I press and I try moving one direction, this is especially amazing to do around scars, and I push the other direction and I push forwards and back and I try a circle, you're gonna find that some directions move better than others. So I would spend more time holding the tissue and giving it a little bit of input to open up in the direction that I'd like. Especially if you did this after a little bit of that hot soak or hot steam, you might find amazing results over time, okay? Stuff that's kind of stuck, we'll tell you how it needs to unwind, right? And the last piece is super hippie stuff that maybe you'll be into, maybe you won't, so I'm just gonna tack it on to the end here. If you place your hand over an area, I don't care where, you may close your eyes, you may not, and basically go as lightly as you can. So to me, the best description I've come up with is placing my hand on the body or my body as if I'm on the surface of the water and I'm trying not to break the surface tension. So I'm just resting that lightly. And then, if you kind of visualize open space, or you pay attention to the back of your hand, you breathe, or you kind of just, to me, my best visualization is imagining just open space between my palm and the skin. The skin may take you places. So I'm taking myself out of it as much as possible. And then the fascia tends to respond in a way where it unwinds. Where you may reach a point where you're completely certain that the motion is coming from the unwinding of the tissue, getting permission from you, and not from your hand moving it, like you just did before. There's a couple of magical things for you to play with. You can pick and choose. If nothing else, just find one out of these pieces that maybe I've layered too many on, and check in with yourself how you feel at the end. A couple of deep breaths. And go about the rest of your day. I'll see you in the bees. Have a great day.